this is a number 3 warm gray Copic marker, and we're testing to see if the 3 is too dark, generally, or whether it'd be better to go with a 2. But so we've put the gouache on, and we've taken a little bit off with the isopropyl alcohol. Now you have to put your finger on the paper. If it's cold, then the marker hasn't dried yet. So test it out on other places, because for some of these maneuvers it has to be a little dry. So here outside the window, I didn't color the window a color. I just wanted it to be neutral like the walls, but I did put shapes of foliage outside. Here I might just put some grays to show the shape of the foliage. But it is important to have something out here so that we know we're looking out a window and it's not just a pane of glass. So that would be plenty, and you'd let that dry, and then you take your, it should have been the green after the gray, obviously, but then you take your white pencil and you can knock it back. And that will look more like glass. So there are ways to compensate if your base color is too dark. And you can put your gel pen over that. If your gel pen won't go, remember your beautiful gouache. The gouache can do so many things. Some of these things, as much as you can, use a straight edge so that everything looks good. This has to be done definitely with a straight edge. But see, I've got seams, but eventually you don't even notice them after you build up more and more. And you could go in and put more white here. And you could even gouache it up a little bit if you want. Remember, this might even have a color, but so it's passable, right? It's not as white as the paper, none of these are, but in a room, all the colors kind of mingle. If you want a really, really bright rendering, then don't put the gray underneath. This gives you more naturalistic colors because the markers are themselves extremely bright. Say you have these two greens and you want to mix a color in between. This one and this one. That's the beauty of floor plans and elevations. They're tiny, so you can do this because it will give you something in between in a small space. You can't do large spaces this way, but you can. So I'm looking for something in between. You take your lighter marker and just wiggle it around the way you would a palette if you're using paint. And I can get something in between. So it has the brightness of this one and the darkness of that one, and it's a prettier green. And if you want a gradual value, it's even better because you can start. Oh, the other thing too is that you can load just a part of it. See how it makes a beautiful gradual value. And I needed to bring the color over, so I started dark in the corner and then gradually brought it forward. And then to clean it, you just clean it on another piece of bond paper. And right back to where it was. You can also use the clear blender this way. The other thing about the clear blender is that you can wet the paper and then add a color to it. If I want to make a flow blue, you know that beautiful pattern, the flow blue. So I wanted to put this on. Indigo blue is the right color, but it's too dark and too hard if I put it on the dry paper. So I wet the paper. You can see it takes, on the bond paper, it takes a very, very long time to wet the paper completely. The longer you stay on the paper, the wetter the paper will be. And then I just pick up a little bit on the tip and dot it on in the pattern that I want. And it's light. So, and to clean it, you just wiggle it around on your paper and it'll go back. It might be stained when you're done, but it'll go back to not putting any other color out.